Hey guys, Scott Patton here. Today I got my top 5 picks for March. A lot of this stuff's going to run over from February. Of course, the water's still cold. It's really going to warm up more in March. March is one of those months, especially in most part of the country, to where it may be really cold early in the year, early part of March, and then it can be really warm later in March, especially towards the end of March. So it's really a transition time. But I've always loved this time of year because I love to catch those fish transition out of the deeper winter places up into the pre-spawn staging places. I don't know if it's really pre-spawn you would really call. I think these fish just, they move up, they're wanting to start hunting shallow. They're getting more sun, the water temperature's warmed up, and it's got them more energetic. And they get out and they want to roam. A lot of times you may have some high water come in March if you get a lot of rains in your areas and stuff. But it could be low too. Sometimes in some areas you're living, you may not have any spring rain. So you gotta kind of go with the lake levels you got, how low they do drop the lakes. But normally in March, towards the end of March, some of these lakes are going to start coming up some. Most of the time, if you're getting enough rain in your area. But anyways, this is going to be my top 5 picks, you guys. And while I'm here, make sure you guys subscribe. I really appreciate it. I got a new website design I just did at scottpattonfishing.com. It shows all my Instagram posts, my Facebook posts. It's got all my updated videos on YouTube. You guys get the chance, check that out. We'll have it down below. But it's really cool. I'm really proud of the website we just got done. So check it out, you guys. All right, let's get started. All right, guys. These baits here, I'm gonna have tied on through March. Depending on the current weather you're gonna have during the time you're fishing through March. And like I said, a while ago, March is really a transition time, a really major transition time, where those fish may be coming out of that deeper water up into the shallow flats and stuff like that. Especially when you have these warmer trends, or if you have a good warm rain. A warm rain and cold rain is a big difference. So you got to pay attention to that, because if you get a warmer trend, you get rain coming in the back of these creeks and stuff like that, especially if you're fishing more of a mountainous type lake, like Lake Cumberland, Del Hollow, places like that. You can fish these run-ins this time of year and do really, really well. So, but let's just go through our baits, you guys. Of course, one bait is, I can't lay down, and I fish, pretty much year round, but I really love is my Jackhammers this time of year. The reds are really going to be real good all through March. You just can't beat that red. If you haven't seen my video about fishing red in the springtime, you guys check it out too. But you don't want to just have red, you guys. This time of year, a lot of lakes is dominated with shad in them. That shad pattern is really going to come alive and catch a lot of fish for you. So you're going to have to kind of experiment and see what the fish are wanting. It could be a cloudy day to a rainy day to a warming trend. Even if it warms up, say 60, 70 degrees for a week, sometimes they may be on that shad pattern because it's bringing them shad up, you guys. But this is 2 colors in the Jackhammer. You can go with 3/8 and 1/2 ounce depending on how deep you're fishing and how, you don't really normally fish these real fast this time of year. It's just a slow crank. I'm using my PAL rods, and I usually throw them on 17 to 20 pound test line because it's a really big fish bait. You want to throw around any kind of cover you can find, shallow chunk rock banks, going back into major creeks and stuff like that. You can throw them on bluff walls, you guys. Anywhere where the bluff wall will go into a flat, that's a lot of the places I would concentrate this time of year. But you want to throw these things on heavier line, you guys, and because they'll really catch some really big fish for you. But the Jackhammer and the 3/8 and 1/2 ounce in the red and in the shad patterns is going to be something you definitely want to have tied on in March. Another bait is going to be your rattling baits. This is a Lucky Craft. I forget which crawl this color this is. It's I think it's the spring crawl. I'm not for sure, you guys. You have to check that out. But anyways, this is LV 500, and it's a really good bait. It has a good rattle in it, really loud. It calls them fish from a long distance. It's going to make a big difference. Now, I fish this mostly in real shallow water, you guys, where you got crawfish coming alive, because they're thawing out, they're moving around, getting up in that shallow, warmer water too. They're getting around some of these the water's going to start rising, like I said, and you're going to have these long tapering points and all, and you're going to want to throw these crawfish colors in this LV 500 rattling bait is one thing you want to tie on and be fishing. Again, I'm going to throw it on a 17 to 20 pound test line. 17 works really well with it. But you want to throw this thing out, make a long cast with it on those gravel banks, and just crank that thing. A lot of times you just want to barely drag that thing across where it's bouncing across the bottom like that, making some noise and racket, and those fish, it just drives them crazy. So make sure you got your vibrating baits tied on, you guys. Spring colors, you know, I've just got the red crawl out right now, but you also want to do this again to also enter shad pattern, you guys. And also a black and chartreuse can be really good. You know, something with some chartreuse on it can be really good if you got a lot of stained water. But most of the time, these crawfish patterns is going to be the ticket for you, okay? So my next bait, or I'm going to go to, is going to be a Lucky Craft 1.5 square bill. Fantastic bait. This is another real good springtime bait. I'm going to throw it on, say, 17. I may throw it on anywhere from 15 to 20 pound test line. I like 17. It's more that neutral line. I throw it on my glass composite PAL rods. You know, I usually throw it on a 7-foot rod. You can go to a 7-foot too, but you want something with some tip in it. You want to make sure these fish, you know, they might still be just a little bit sluggish. You want to make sure they inhale it real good, so you want a soft tip. You don't want to be taking it away from these fish when you feel that bite. But fish is kind of, this bait, same way, same place I'm talking about with the jackhammer and the rattling bait. You want to, you know, you're looking for those transition places, you guys, where fish will come out of deep water up on the shallow water. They may not always be in the very back, in the very back. They may be right on that that drop, that on that little ledge up going up on the flat. But you're going to have to watch too, in some of these creeks and stuff you're going to be fishing into, you may have a creek channel winding down the middle of that. That's where you have to watch your electronics or look at your maps. And if you do have those creeks, a lot of times you can have 2-3 foot of water, or even shallower up on the flats, but you'll have a creek channel flowing through there, maybe 3, 4, 5 foot deep, have some stumps on it, some rock or what have you, lay down in it. That's where you're going to be, make sure you're throwing this thing in. You can catch a lot of fish. It's real good coming out of current, like back of the creeks and stuff, or up in the river on a lot of lakes. It's a real good bait to throw around current. It's a shallower bluff walls and stuff like that, guys. So make sure you got that Lucky Craft 1.5 tied on. Again, you can go with your crawfish colors and their shad patterns, you guys. I just got this one out right here. And the chartreuse shad is a real good spring color. I've done real well, caught a lot of big fish on in the Lucky Craft 1.5 as well, okay? One bait that I'm probably going to throw more in clear water. I'm not, you know, if I'm in an area or a lake that's going to have stained water and stuff, I'll stay away from this bait. It just doesn't work as well. But as far as cold water, and water's warm up from, say, 50 degrees up to 55 to 60 degrees, that you get a lot of times in the spring. If you got clean water, you guys, this is a fantastic bait. I'll throw this thing on bluff walls. Going back in the creeks, they may only be about, you know, 8 to 10 foot deep, but them fish are staged on there. If you got it, you know, that type of cover on the lake you're fishing, I'm gonna throw it on points, you know, on the Tennessee River and stuff like that. I'll throw it on like humps, over humps in the mouth of the creeks and stuff, and also on some of your ledges that we'll call them. You know, sometimes those fish will hold on the mussel beds out on those ledges to suspend in those creeks before they move on back. But anything where that water may be 5 foot deep and drop off in, you know, 10 to 12 or 15 foot of water, and you got a hump out there, mussel bed or anything like that you know is back in those places, great place to throw this jerk bait. It's fantastic to throw over submerged hydrilla, and so is the LV500, the vibrating bait. And, you know, you got to get lakes like Gunnersville, and you got Chickamauga, you know, and you know, that's a great bait to throw over that flooded hydrilla. It's really not flooded, but it's just submerged hydrilla. But you know, you want, like I said, I usually want cleaner water when I'm fishing this. It's also good to throw back in the creeks. If you got creeks like, let's say if you're fishing a lake like Watch Bar and stuff like that, those creeks will be deeper back in there. I'll go back on those bluff walls, down the middle of those things. If you know where some stump fields and stuff like that are, even on Chickamauga where you got some stump flats and stuff like that, they may be in 7 to 10 foot of water. It's not all the way back in the creek yet. Those fish will stay in those places waiting for that water to warm up and to rise before they move on back and go back there to spawn. But clear water is the key with these jerk baits, you guys. Throw them a 10 to 12 pound test line. You know, if I'm really catching some big ones and the water's not super clean, I will go with 15 pound tests. but most of the time I won't. And I'm always using my cigar. I love a Braze X. That's what I use almost all the time. Here's a chartreuse shad, which is a good color, and then I'll just go more to your natural shads and stuff like that too, you guys. These are Lucky Craft pointers, they're both great baits. Lucky Craft makes a good suspending jerk bait. Make sure you get some of these too. All right, the last bait I'm going to talk to about is probably one I will use all through March, but I really like it towards the end of March, where I know those fish are moving up on some of these shallow stumps, especially if the sun's been out for 3 or 4 days. It's warmed up. This right here is a 3/8 ounce hack attack jig. I love these jigs. It's got good hook, good weed guard, great colors, and it's very weedless. You know, this is a Zoom pork chunk, super chunk. I forget what this is. Oh heck, I forget which one this is, you guys. But you can see the style of it. But it's the biggest one they make. But I'm going to use this thing. I'm going to rig it up just like the old pork chunk. I'm going to just stick it through there just like that. It creates a really big profile. It's a fantastic bait. You know, if I'm looking for big fish, those big females going to move up on these back in the creeks and stuff like that. You know, if you got stumps and stuff on them. I remember fishing some lakes years ago at home. As I was growing up, I used to love to go back in some of these creeks that had stumps and stuff down on these bluff walls, channel banks. And I'm not talking about deep. I'm talking about these things would be 10 foot to 3 foot deep. Them big fish will hold up here on those bluff walls and on them channel edges. You know, the water may only be 3 or 4 foot deep, but you have 2 or 3 big stumps in there, you guys. And it's a great bait to take in there and just throw it in there and let it fall real slow on 25-pound test lines. Usually what I use, I want it to fall slow. I almost always use a cigar on that, and Braze X. I'm using my paddle flipping stick. But anyways, green pumpkin, black and blue are going to be some good colors. Now you can use different trillers on this, you guys. You don't have to use, you know, they may not want that big chunk, and you may not have that type of quality fish that you're fishing in your lakes that will eat that. So a lot of time I'll go to this is a Strike King Rage Crawl. But anyways, this right here is, you know, is big for it. So what I'll do, I'll just bite off a little bit up like that, you guys. I'll just thread that thing on that hack attack jig. This right here gives it a little bit. It's not as thick of a profile, but it still has a good size profile. But I'm gonna get a little bit more swimming action out of it. You can see that right there, you guys. Beautiful. Right, these little legs and stuff just kick real good. Again, guys, don't go too light on line. I will hardly ever throw it on anything less than 15-pound test. I've done real good with this, like towards the end of March, throwing it way up on shallow gravel banks and stuff like that, and working it back on Chickamauga, and it catches a lot of big fish. And it's just something a lot of guys don't do. And I don't care where you go anywhere in March, you're gonna be able to catch fish on this jig. You know, again, it's a 3/8. I'll use a 3/8 and a half, just depends, but I like the 3/8 most of the time. And I'll flip that around any kind of cover I can find. I love to flip it on the lay down trees up in the river on Chickamauga. Catch a lot of big fish, especially catch it right. We've got some films that we did last year that we're catching, you know, 6-7 pounders out of flipping a jig in a plastic rage bug, I think it was, on a 3/8 ounce Pro Tungsten. But anyways, you guys, that's gonna be the number 5 picks. I hope this helped you guys out a lot. You know, I love this time of year. March is good. I'm still down here at Okeechobee. It's not going to be long until I'm going to be heading home. I'm going to start guiding on Chickamauga. I've already got the last week of Chickamauga booked. Probably go home around the 20th, 21st. I still got some days open in April, and I got some days open in May. But anyways, you guys, if you're wanting to get on a great trip down there, try to catch one of them 10-pounders out of that lake, get a hold of me. Appreciate you watching. Again, you guys subscribe. I appreciate it so much. I really can use the help with you guys. Like and leave a comment, you guys. And all right, guys. And again, don't forget my new website. Just designed it. It's really cool. If you guys been fishing with me, always look for your post on there. And it's scottpattonfishing.com. You can book your trip with Chickamauga with me, or on Okeechobee, which, like I say, I'm already booked up completely here on Okeechobee. But I'll be down here again next year. I'm always down here from December until the end of March, and then I go back to Chickamauga say the 1st of April, and I'm there until the end of November. But anyways, guys, check it out. Our website, scottpattonfishing.com, and we will see you on the water. Thanks, guys.